Hey there. We just had a wonderful live session with WebMD CMO, Dr. John White, great friend. And I wanted to just run some thoughts by you. In case you didn't catch the live session, we were discussing what you can do as you're navigating reopening. Depending on what state you're in now, maybe you're fully reopened, maybe you're a little bit reopened, maybe you're kind of, sort of. And there are different feelings that people have around this process. So I just wanted to share with you some evidence-based thoughts about this next step, okay? The first thing you want to bear in mind, what we know from analyzing data like a natural disaster like Katrina, what happens to people, afterwards, is that we're all incredibly unique, okay? Incredibly unique based on these particular factors that they've studied, where you are financially at the time, where you are socially, where you are professionally, work-wise. For example, for some people, they can tell me, hey, Dr. Merham, that's great. My state's reopened. I still don't have a job. I'm still waiting for my stimulus check. So it doesn't really help me all that much. I'm not so giddy about the fact that, hey, I get to go and, watch a baseball game. That's fantastic, but doesn't really get me there. So that's the first thing you want to understand, is that you are unique. Your situation is different. So don't feel like you have to react like anybody else. Maybe somebody else is super excited. Maybe somebody else is super nervous. You are different and unique, and that's okay. Okay, so the first thing is understanding that. Secondly, like we said, is acknowledging where we are, that it's a little bit different for everybody. And then thirdly, when we're looking at, well, what's the pace I should go, right? It's sort of like, when you wake up in the morning and someone turns on the lights right away, and your eyes are sort of adjusting to the light. Social skills, believe it or not, can kind of be like that. You can walk into a room now, and what we know from science is that we tend naturally to feel a bit more apprehensive, a bit more, nervous in a new social situation. For many of us, believe it or not, at this point, any social situation is almost a brand new social situation. So what do we do about that, okay? One of the things I'd recommend for you is don't forget about the best medicine. What's the best medicine? We know the best medicine is laughter. We know from psychology is that this is sort of a defense mechanism that's a mature one. This is a good way to be able to lighten the load, lighten the mood. If you're in a social dynamic that is unfamiliar or new, even being able to crack a little joke and say, oh, this is weird. What are people like? What's social life? That's so weird. Post-COVID, what are we doing these days? That's like a silly example, but just in general, right? To know that you can walk into this with a little bit of a light-hearted approach, that can go a long way. And then secondly, know that your pace is dictated by your individual preference. And this is key. Don't miss this, okay? Because some people will say, you know what? I'm here in my preference or in my comfort level. And they can try to sometimes force that on other people. Say, hey, friend, loved one, why aren't you doing what I'm doing? Why aren't you, where the CDC said we could be in a room without a mask? Why is your mask on, right? And you have to be able to, as we're navigating this, respect everyone's individual decision-making or everyone's individual process here and their comfort level. For some people, they're going to be more comfortable than you are. And once you know that that's the other person's sort of pace and comfort level, understand it, respect it, and don't push it, right? Because that can create some conflict, as we've seen in many, many ways. So those are some of the minor things that we can think of that we can share together in terms of understanding our similarities and differences, acknowledging our feelings and knowing, hey, it's cool if I'm a bit more nervous than others. I'm going to warm up the same way. Hey, if you look at, the sports has been on my mind, March Madness and the national championship game, there's no athlete that just, for the most part, just jumps into a professional sport just like that. There's always a warm-up process, right? You warm up. So take that analogy in this social process. Have some social warm-ups. Maybe a social warm-up is that you're just going to go have coffee with one friend. Maybe a social warm-up for other people, if you're super, extrinsic, is going to, one of those social events with a couple of friends indoors where people are vaccinated and you feel, you know what, I'm comfortable there. And that's going to warm me up before I can go. For me, I can tell you in my personal sort of warm-up, I'm trying to get myself up with the goal of going back to be able to see a Knicks game. Okay, as a struggling Knicks fan, that's one of my goals, to be able to go back to the Garden, even if there's 5 people there. All right. So just wish you all the best here as you're navigating reopening. Want to share some thoughts with you. And as always, feel free to, shoot me questions and I'd be happy to address that in the next live session. Thank you.